Yo, this your boy EC22 of the Fairweather Fan channel, y'all. Listen, I already know I am approximately 7 minutes late, and we're going to work on that next time. I apologize to you guys, but we're about to have snowmageddon down here in Texas, so therefore I was out with one of us scared people trying to figure out what we're going to do in the next coming days with our lives. But y'all, let's get started. Before we go any further, please like, subscribe, share, leave comments, join the conversation. And yo, we got a guest with us today, Chris McKinney. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, EC, how are you? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, man. We're in this thing, y'all. Before we go, I want, and you guys can chime in as well and stop me if I go too far on this rant. But there are some things I want to say, and there's some things I want to clear up here at the Fairweather Fan channel. You know, I try to be as authentic as I can with my content, but you know, I'm just like everybody else. We watch mainstream media, and there are some things that I heard this week that I did not like. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and just let you guys know how I feel about the things I've heard. Starting right now, the question was asked on First Take, who is at fault? Or is he at fault? Joe Burrow, is he completely at fault for the reason why the Cincinnati Bengals did not make the playoffs? And that comment was laughable. It was stupid, in my opinion. It was dumb. Joe Burrow, for those who do not know football, only played one side of the ball. The man is leading the league in passing yardage. The man is leading the league in thinking touchdown passes. What else can he do? Jamar Chase is the Triple Crown winner. What else can they do? For those of you who do not know football, let me tell you, you know, the defense has to stop the other team. The offense can't do that. So, y'all, it is not Jamar Chase's fault. It is not Joe Burrow's fault. It is completely the bad defense of the Cincinnati Bengals. And I don't know where Shannon Sharp get off on just trolling Joe Burrow, but they got to make their content. Number two, also, Chris Broussard, listen, I get it, bro. The 7-week program didn't work for you. You're all upset because Joe Burrow and them could have got a chance to get in if Kansas City brought their whole starters and beat Denver. Listen, that's why you win games early in the season. I'm sorry, Cincinnati, you didn't get it done. It's not your fault. Your bad defense as an organization. Y'all didn't play the teams and win to rest players like the other teams did. So therefore, Denver got an easy walk in by beating up on a bad, not gonna say bad, but the backups for the Kansas City Chiefs. So sorry, but Chris Broussard, I do not agree with you. And yes, it is fair. Now going on to this one right here, J-Dub, we've talked about this, and they keep asking this dumb question: what do you expect out of Sam Darnold in the playoff? Are you afraid of him? And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let J-Dub take a stab at it and give his. Listen, if we trust Jared Goff, if we trust Russell Wilson, if we trust all the other 14 or 13 other quarterbacks that's in the playoffs right now, why not trust Sam Darnold? Why single him out? J-Dub, take a stab at that. Let these people know. Put some respect on his name.
So I trust him. Listen, he had a bad game in Detroit. Well, we can all say he had a bad game in Detroit. Both defenses showed up. I mean, Detroit's offense didn't even show up. Only Jamar Gibbs showed up to play that game.
Right.
And if they have to go back to Detroit, I mean, do you trust him? You have to. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL, and you hope that he makes adjustments. He had a bad game. And when the quarterback has a bad game, everybody loses their mind. People say they're not impressed. People say they don't trust him. People do this and that. But adjustments are made. And Coach and I talk about it's hard to beat a team twice. How hard is it to beat a team 3 times, right? So I trust him as a starting NFL quarterback. I mean, there's really only 2 or 3 guys in the NFL right now: Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, maybe Jalen Hurts, that are that guy that you expected to do it every single week with no exceptions, no excuses. But all the other ones are liable to have a bad game time and again. And it was a bad game. It was a bad game. He overthrew JJ on that corner post. He underthrew him again on the next drive. So it was a bad game, but I mean, I'm still riding with him. I still think he has just as good a chance as most, maybe not as good a chance as Josh Allen, maybe not as good a chance as Mahomes with the team around him, but he has just as good a chance as the Commanders. He has just as good a chance as the Eagles. I trust that defense more than I trust Sam Darnold. I trust that defense all day. So, I mean, it was a bad game. It was a horrible way to end the season, but they get a rematch game, hopefully, and hopefully he can change the script.
Thanks. J-Dub and Chris, not J, but Coach D-Way and Chris, MVP, Lamar or Josh? How close is it?
Go ahead, Chris.
Ooh. So I'm an AFC North guy. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, Ohio born and raised. And so I've seen quite a bit of Lamar Jackson. And obviously Josh Allen has had a great year as well and also a great career. But I would lean Lamar Jackson. You know, he does it all. As he goes, the Ravens goes. And obviously they always have a good defense. But Lamar Jackson by himself can change a game. And it seems like every year he gets better and better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I lean Lamar Jackson on that one. How about you, Coach?
You know, it's no secret. I have been a monster Josh Allen fan ever since he's been in the league. And so I think Josh is having you kind of expect these kind of seasons and performances out of LJ because he's just that good. But I think Josh is his whole goal was to put his team on his back this year and get them to the Super Bowl. So that remains to be seen if he's going to be able to do that. But my vote's on more Josh Allen.
And, you know, I love it because Dan Orlovsky said this. And, you know, when some of the and I don't quote Dan Orlovsky a lot, but I think he got it right on this. He says, you can't bring the stats into this conversation. Because if you're going to throw the stats off and obviously Lamar Jackson win, they don't even have a vote. If you're going to do stats, just let the stats just automatically generate who the winner is and leave it on out there.
No, if you're going to throw the stats out there, Joe Burrow is your MVP.
Facts. If you go exactly.
So that's the only thing I'm going to say, and this is a rhetorical. Everybody can comment as they see. I don't know what MVP means. I mean, so for me, if it's the best individual season, it's either Joe Burrow or Saquon Barkley. Those are the only two people we can talk about.
Right.
But if you take into account record and rhythm and other things, then I get it. It's Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Those are the only two people we should talk about.
Yeah, and you're right. And here's the thing that got me. They started this up 2 weeks ago, and they're trying to say, okay, you know, Josh Allen will probably get it, and it started with Ryan Clark. Josh Allen should get it because it's the Jordan effect, you know. Obviously, Josh, they saying that Lamar Jackson is good, but because he's won it already twice, they might as well give it to Josh Allen. The same way with Jordan. Jordan was ruling in the 90s, and all of a sudden in 92, give it to Barkley. Listen, I do not subscribe to that mentality. Because you start talking about, when you go back to Charles Barkley, yes, Jordan was averaging 32 like he did his whole career. But at the end of the day, you're talking about a Phoenix Sun team that was number 2 in the whole league or number 1 in the whole league. You know what I'm saying? He had a game. And so like, it's not saying or suggesting that he's better than Jordan by giving MVP. It's saying that, man, he earned it. It's simple as that. Just like Josh Allen, we're not giving him the MVP, or I'm not voting for him to get MVP just because, well, Lamar Jackson won it twice. No, I think that from my eyes, I think that that Josh Allen deserves it. He won his division. Yeah. He's number 2 in the AFC. So, and there's no discredit for Lamar Jackson, but he did it with less. We know all the weapons Baltimore got, and we can't, outside of Cook, we don't know who else they got over there. Yeah. You know, that we know them, you know what I'm saying, but being facetious, but they're not, you know, saying household names what they have over there in Buffalo. So in my opinion, but what we all can agree, the one thing I love about this MVP, that it's going to be judged with your heart. It's going to be judged by complete emotion in the heart. And so all those who get a pick, I don't get one. I don't know if y'all get a pick, but
I wish.
I know I would vote for. It's going to come down to emotion in the heart. You know, the folks who like Lamar are going to vote for Lamar. The folks who want Josh going to vote for Josh. And I'm not upset with either one. If Lamar get it, kudos. If Josh Allen, kudos, get it. But I would have loved to see Burrow get an MVP and not make the playoff. That would have been awesome. Coach.
Ain't going to happen.
So there were some things, and this will be the last controversy I have to back and forth with mainstream media. So Ryan Clark came out on Scott Van Pelt. He brings up Tomlin, his former coach, saying that he deserves some blame for the lack of success that the Steelers had these last 5 games, or the last 4 to 5 games, and deserve that, hey, maybe they didn't look in a new direction. And I'm going to tell you what my opinions are, and you can jump in. These are things you don't say. As a former alum of the Steelers, definitely as a former player of that coach. You know what type of reputation you have. There's no other coach in history that has a completely undefeated resume, a losing resume. You got to give it to Tomlin, right? The Get Up crew, they decided this morning to come back, and I don't know if they attacked Ryan Clark, but they bounced back. They said, if somehow that Tomlin would be available, and they said, quote, every team would fire their coaches right away to get Tomlin.
I saw that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw this. So I'm like, thank you, Get Up Crew, who's on ESPN, to give some type of understanding to Ryan Clark. But I'm at the point right now that I think these guys are bringing this stuff up just to create the wave.
Oh, he froze up.
He froze, but you go ahead. I want you to talk about Mike Tomlin.
So, I mean, I've made no bones about it. Mike is one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, has been for a long time. I'm also a big Pittsburgh Steelers guy, so I think that's really disrespectful for him to say anything about Coach Mike like that. The Steeler issue is, guys, if you really look across the board at that Steeler roster, I'm going to say this, and I want to hear what y'all got to think about it. They don't have a lot of great players on that team. Okay, we all know Najee.
One I can name.
Najee Beast, and which one of the Watt brothers is up there? Chris, which one?
TJ, he's great, and it's on the other side of the ball. That's right.
You got Fairmouth. I like Pat Fairmouth, so he's good, and you got George.
But
George Pickens is great.
Yeah. They're acting like,
and their running back is good. Warren is good. So
but they're acting like they're loaded and they got all this talent. They've got a starting quarterback who we all have tons of respect for. That's on his. He's there you
Not
go.
this guy.
He's going that way.
Yeah, he's on his way out. So. Chris, what do you think about the Tomlin situation?
Yeah, so kind of like EC said, I respect Mike Tomlin a lot too, right? As a Browns guy, I always wish that the Browns had Mike Tomlin, right? Because they are the opposite of the Cleveland Browns. You think stability when you think Steelers. And I think to your point, Coach, they don't have the talent that they've had in the past. And even a guy like George Pickens has been very inconsistent, right? If you're counting on him, he has number one receiver talent, but he's not always reliable, right? I think the only thing, I think it is fair to maybe question Tomlin this year, how he handled the quarterback situation, kind of the in and out of, with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I think that's fair to question that, but to question him like there needs to be a change for this year, I don't agree with that either. And big Tomlin fan, and the Steelers, trust me, you're very lucky to have Mike Tomlin.
And let's not forget, this is the playoff team. This isn't one of the teams that didn't make it. And I love Ryan Clark. I love his podcast. I watch it every day. But, man, I think you tripping hard because they are in the playoffs. They're not only in the playoffs, they were in it 2 weeks ago. Wait, did they have to win week 17 to get in?
Nope.
But,
no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you got what I consider to be an overrated quarterback, and I agree with Chris. There was some controversy with who's starting and who's not. But, man, he's in the top 3 coaches in the NFL right now. He's in the top 10 coaches maybe of all time. We're not having that discussion right now. I'm just saying that's a name that we would put on the list to argue about. And so I think Ryan Clark he's outside of his mind when he said things like that.
And looking, you're talking about a coach who doesn't have a losing record. So for those you understand, when you don't have a losing record, which means you're not getting the lottery picks, which means you're not getting good pick of the litter. So when you come down to draft picks, this is where not the coach. This is where the GM and owners got to be very creative in the offseason with trades and draft picks and whatever free agency situations. They got to be very good at this, and they haven't been. But the fact that he has been making household names out of these people, Trace Claypool was there for a minute. He was a star. Then once he left, he wasn't. We saw how he handled Antonio Brown, was a star there, and then he went cuckoos afterwards. You know what I'm saying? And so forth and so on. The dude can coach up. And y'all, I don't know if y'all noticed, but his philosophy is that he wants to be a coach of men. He wants to make sure these men's lives are more important, that he's investing in, not just their NFL career. And I think he's doing a good job at it. But I'm excited, because you're looking at second round of the draft, you still got some great quarterbacks that's going to be there. And I say, hey, go get one of those guys. Go get the kid out of Mississippi. Go get the kid out of you got Mississippi. You got who's that in Mississippi? That is let me pull it up real quick.
Jackson. Yeah.
Huh?
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart out of Mississippi. You also got Illinois.
Is the kid from Indiana a senior?
The Indiana, yeah, he's a center. Curtis, I keep forgetting these guys' names, y'all. I'm drawing a blank here. Let me pull it up.
You were late, extra contact.
I'm late.
I don't know the names.
I don't know the name. So here it is. We got Will Howard of Ohio State, obviously your guy, will probably be there second round. And then we got Curtis Roy from Indiana. And then you still got them other guys out there, Jackson Dart, and then you got
Dylan Carmichael.
what's the kid out of Dylan? Is Dylan coming out this year?
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, he is. And I was going to throw his name out there if you didn't. He's a really good player. And I think the knock on him is maybe his arm isn't the prototypical arm strength they'd like to see, but I've seen him twice now this year against Ohio State. He's very impressive.
Yeah.
So there's some good quarterbacks I say, and I say keep Wilson. Obviously, let him be your QB1 going into next season, but let your rookie QB and Justin Fields fight it out for QB1. It's the end of offseason, and there you go. And then you train that rookie to take the place of Russell Wilson next year, the year after next, whatever. Let's moving on to college football. Yo, we got I would like to say, even though I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and call out there. We got a college guru in the house, Chris McKinney, man.
Yes, Listen,
we down to the Final Four. Y'all, for those who haven't watched college, all you guys who's been tripping about the first round, about SMU got beaten down, and all these other teams that got beat down, saying that they didn't deserve to be in it. But guess what? All your number one seeds got beat the second round. So right now, we're down to Texas versus Ohio State, and we got Penn State versus Notre Dame. Chris McKinney, give us your spiel. Take it away.
First of all, Chris, I can't believe you're not wearing Buckeyes.
I know. I thought about that. This is kind of Michigan colors almost.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wait till I tell somebody.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, let's show some love. Hey, what's up, Corey Patterson, man? Thanks for watching us, man. We appreciate you, man, always for coming on and checking us out, man. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So, first of all, I expect two great games.
Yeah.
And so I'll start with Ohio State versus Texas. I expect this to be a close game, and I expect that for a few reasons. So Ohio State is obviously playing about as well as you possibly can play, right?
Playing mean.
They're angry. They're emotional, right? After that Michigan loss, which I don't want to dive too much into. We want to move forward, right?
What you got to do, because I'm going to bring it up anyway.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions about that growing up in Ohio. There's lots to dive into. But anyways, I expect a good game. So I think, it's really hard to play. It's really hard to keep up this level of domination, right? So I think realistically, Ohio State is due to potentially have a little bit more of, I don't want to call it pedestrian, but it's possible they might not come out as hot, right? So against Tennessee, against Notre Dame, they blew them out right away. Right. The game was over by halftime in both of those. And so I would expect a better game this time. I do lean towards Ohio State, but I think Texas matches up a little bit better than people think. And I've watched Texas quite a bit this year. They are a very physical defense. Yeah. And during the course of the year, Ohio State lost their top two linemen. They lost their left tackle, Josh Simmons. And then they lost their, I believe he won the Remington Award, Seth McLaughlin, the center, right? And so they had to replace those two spots. And they've done so admirably. But I think that the Texas's defensive front can possibly present some problems. And then I've been really impressed by Texas's secondary. Both the corners and both safeties just seem to have a nose for the football. And so I actually expect this to be a pretty good game. I think one problem that Texas will have is, Quinn Ewers isn't the most mobile guy in the world, and Ohio State is getting after the quarterback right now. Ohio State's defense is legit. And, the only reason Oregon scored it all is because Dylan Gabriel's really good. He moves really well in the pocket, and they let off the gas a little bit defensively, I think. But I expect Ewers to have a long night, but I could see where it's more of a lower scoring game than people think. And I think that's attributable to both defenses. Now, that being said, I do lean towards Ohio State in that game, but I'm not going to be surprised if it's a very, very close game late into the fourth quarter. And then Penn State and Notre Dame, another really, really good matchup. Notre Dame reminds me a lot of the early 2000 Ohio State teams. And it's funny, and I say that because Marcus Freeman actually played for Jim Tressel, right? And they used to call it Tressel ball in Ohio. I don't know if you guys remember that Tressel ball. They would just find a way to win, right? Tressel would manage the game. They weren't the most talented team in the world. They didn't have athletes all over, kind of like Notre Dame. But Marcus Freeman is a very good coach, and they have a very good defense. And so, they're going up against a Penn State team that's playing as well as they have all year. And even in the loss to Oregon, Drew Aller starting to play better to the point where people are talking about him as a potential high round draft pick if he would decide to come out this year. And Penn State has one of the best tight ends I've seen in Tyler Warren. So I think that's a very even matchup. I lean slightly towards Notre Dame just because Marcus Freeman, I trust him in big games over James Franklin.
Okay.
James Franklin still, I think you could argue that Penn State has had a very easy path to this point, and that's no knock on SMU. So if SMU fans are listening, I apologize, but SMU and then Boise State was arguably the easiest path to get here out of the 4 teams. So close game. I expect Notre Dame to find a way to win at the end.
Hey, Corey, Mike, Chris, you see the screen down there? Corey's leaving a comment.
Hey, you won us a national title, Corey. I get it. At one point, Tressel said the punt was the most important play in football. So I get it, Corey. I was with you.
Hey, Chris, we have a mutual friend, Mr. Felix, just sent me a text, said that it was very objective and very politically correct, all the comments you made. So, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
hey, we got to teach Felix how to get into the show and leave comments so we all can see it versus texting you. If he's watching, he can leave comments in the comment section so we all can see it and we can post it.
There you go, Felix. Yeah. So, and then, Jada, what's your take on both games?
My take on both games is there's a lot of beef on all the lines. There is a lot of beef. The Lions won the tournament, and
yeah, you're
I
right.
think Chris said it perfectly, and I hate to say what I'm fixing to say, but it should be an Ohio State Notre Dame final, and I'm not going to watch it because I'm not going to root for either team. Not going to do it. I'm not going to give away everything I believe in. But no, the Ohio State's playing mean. Texas did not look good in the game they won. I mean, they ended up winning, but I mean, they had the big play early and the big play late, but they lost the whole rest of the game. I hope the beef on Penn State's defensive line can get some penetration into Notre Dame, but it should be a Notre Dame Ohio State final. And man, I couldn't be more disappointed.
Corey said, I'm hoping there was some kind of scandal with him. I'm a Michigan fan. I swear he couldn't win when he was the Ohio State coach. Wow, he's still talking about that. Talking about Tressel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm with Chris, but I'm slightly biased. I would love to see Texas and Penn State for a lot of reasons.
I want Texas Penn State.
Yeah, or Ohio State and Penn State. I don't, what I'm saying? I don't want to see Notre Dame do anything. I'm sorry. I don't want to get into a conference. Get into a conference, then I will love you, Notre Dame. Until you all this, I just cannot show. But Penn State, Coach, you said it, and you made you walk back your statement. But you said early in the season that Ohio State looked to be good, and then they lost a couple of games, and then you regrettably walked back your statements. But the way they've been manhandling in this playoff, man, is awesome. And then you constantly religiously wear Penn State. Don't know why you didn't have it on today, but I mean, you got both your teams in it, and I would love to see that Penn State versus Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? Much love to the Longhorns. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah.
that was a big win for Notre Dame. It was real emotional. But guys, keep in mind they were playing with a no-name Georgia quarterback for Georgia, and so Notre Dame looked good, but that's because that quarterback, that freshman kid, he didn't have any experience in playing time. They wore him out. So that game, that win, which was a good win for Notre Dame, but it was a little bit overrated of a win from the public standpoint. And I truly expect if James Franklin, and Chris and I talked about this Saturday, if James Franklin will stay out of the way, I think Penn State can beat Notre Dame. And so I'm calling Ohio State Penn State in the national championship. Which I hate saying that because that means it's two big teams, Big Ten teams. So that means everybody's
that hurts my soul.
Me too.
All right, then. So let's finish this second half, and I'm just letting y'all know what is about to happen. For those of you who are watching NFL playoff football and your team is not in it, if you're watching and you're very sensitive, you might want to turn off right now, because right now we about to talk about these 18 non-playoff teams and what they can do to get better. And y'all, if you leave it up to me, I want to do everybody, but I can't, because y'all might be trying to look for me, and because I'm going to be very, very, very negative probably to some of y'all.
But you ain't got to do all of them. You ain't got to do all 18.
That's why I got three other guys. I got
at least 6 of them that can't make the playoffs next year, regardless of what they do. They need to start looking into the 2026 draft.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that
go ahead and start it off, J. Dub.
Colts. I'm sorry. You can't tell me that the Colts can make enough moves to make the playoffs next year. You can't tell me that the Jaguars can make enough moves to make the playoffs next year. So there's only a handful of teams that can do enough moves to be viable.
So let's look at it this way, J. Dub, since we know that, because I mean, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of them that can't make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
Saints ain't making the playoffs this year.
But what can they do to jumpstart their franchise? Because obviously, you may not make the playoff, but your fans deserve something.
That's right. Okay.
So
all right.
Let's start with you, Jay. So you mentioned, let's go with the Colts. What can the Colts do to give their organization, their fan base, some type of hope?
They need to find more scoring, and they need to find more secondary. That's a lot. That's a lot, right, in one season.
Yeah.
The Colts are in disarray. I think they had a good year with their little team that they had, but they still got a lot of pieces to put together. So I don't know how to say one thing. I mean, maybe find the best corner you can find in free agency, pay him to shut down the other team's wide receivers, because they gave up a lot of touchdowns to number one receivers this year. So that would be, if you're asking me for one answer, that would be my answer.
So Chris Ballard, Shane Stickton, Anthony Richardson, your GM, your coach, and your quarterback. We need to figure out something. Starting with your GM first, because they've had some years to get it done. They ain't got it done. Coach, I would love to see what his ideal is with trying to do some player development around Anthony Richardson. But right now, he had 1 year, he wasn't all the way there. This year, so he decided not to play one game or walked off the field one game. And so there's a lot of things there. I still think he's the good coach for the organization. But the GM definitely, in my opinion, probably the first one to be looked at. Whether he go or not, I don't know. But they got a team, man. They got a team. And I don't understand. I mean, you got a darn good running back with JT. You got some good receivers with Pierce and stuff like that. So I don't know. They got to figure it out. But that Colts, my father-in-law was a big Colts fan. So I don't know. Colts fan, I'm sorry, but y'all ain't making the playoff next year, as Jay Dub said. But anybody got to want to chime in? What's up, Blue, man? Thanks for watching, man. Anybody got any guy that can rub that crystal ball and figure it out for the Colts? I don't know. If not, we can move on.
Please move on.
Okay, Coach, take the Saints. Who you would?
No. Let me take a team. Okay, can I?
Yeah, take a team. Pick a team.
Yeah, take a team.
This is a team I'm real intrigued with, and this is a team I think is on the up and up. And it's somebody y'all would never believe that I'm going to say, and that's the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay, go ahead.
Because Kyler still has some life left in him. And guys, I got to tell you, and Chris is going to love this. This is going to make Chris's night. I think that Marvin Harrison Jr.
He is
the shizzle my dizzle, man. He has got it going on. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a big time player. And I think they got a lot of pieces, and if they can get one or two more here and there, I like Arizona next year. I like the direction that team's going in. So that's my team. Chris, who's one you can talk about that didn't make it?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the Browns. And
hold up, before you get on the Browns, listen, Cardinals, y'all listen. That dude Kyler is small. He needs a little bit of help. He's very elusive for a small guy, but he's small. And I'm not saying you don't change quarterback. I love him as a quarterback, but you got to protect that little dude. I'm sorry. Go ahead with the Browns there, Chris.
Yeah, so the Browns are 1 year removed from making the playoffs to now where they only had 3 wins this year, and now they're in line for the number 2 pick. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with that pick. And is Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders really good enough to warrant a number 2 pick, or should they go out and get a veteran like Kirk Cousins, or maybe Justin Fields comes over from Pittsburgh, reunites with the state of Ohio, comes into Kevin Stefanski's offense, which I think he might be a good fit for. That would be what I would like to see. But this is the first time in, I believe, 3 or 4 years that the Browns have had a first round pick because they traded him away due to the Deshaun Watson trade, which turned out to be maybe the worst one in sports history. So the Browns are going to be an exciting team to watch, whether you like the Browns or not this offseason.
So Chris, a couple of things before EC gets in. Number one, J-Dub is a monster Browns fan. He roots hard for the Browns. I love that.
I can't help it. I can't help it.
And then a couple of things. Justin Fields is the right guy. Question. I mean, who knows?
I don't want to see the Browns get a rookie quarterback. I don't think that's going to solve their problems.
I would agree.
I don't want that. So I like what you said. They need to find a veteran. They need to find this offseason Sam Darnold is who they're looking for. This offseason Sam Darnold, a 5 to 8 year veteran who's looking to reinvent himself. I mean, because they got a squad. They got good players on both sides of the ball. And I mean, I'm not one to ever blame the coaches or the GM because I personally don't ever know what the coaches are really there for. But they got to find somebody who can handle the times that are ugly. They got to find the guy who can come out there calmly with a 14-point deficit and say, "Hey, man, we're just going to get a first down." They got to find that guy, and I don't know who that is, right? But I didn't know that it was going to be Sam Darnold this year. You know what I'm saying?
Look at Jonathan G. Look at
Cooper Rush would be great for the Browns.
Come on, Jonathan. Come on, Jonathan.
And then Corey said he would listen. So what Jonathan's saying, they get him basically for nothing. I gotta ask you guys, you Browns fans, a question. We haven't seen the Browns handle the quarterback position well. From Johnny Manziel to obviously Baker Mayfield. The whole idea to go get Deshaun Watson, he saw how that fiasco fed out. Then all 3 quarterbacks are turnover magnets from Watson to Winston, and then with DTR. And then the other guy they tried to throw off, and then he threw an interception. So, I mean, they had an interception turnover from a QB in every game except 2 this year. So, so help me understand that about – I mean, obviously you don't want to get a rookie. You don't want to destroy their career. But what can these coaches do, or what can be done different handling the quarterback?
So I'm a big believer in the line. If the offensive line can keep the defensive line out of the quarterback's grill, he gets more comfortable. He has more time to process the information. You only got 8 seconds max to make a lot of decisions. So, I mean, it's a hard thing to do, but I mean, if you're going to upgrade anything for the Browns, I would want to see them upgrade their offensive line a little bit. And with that being said, they didn't play bad this year. They didn't have a bad year. So, again, I mean, I don't know what's going on there in Cleveland, but, I mean, I root for them every year.
Hey, Chris, my question is, what is Nick Chubb's status?
So obviously he came back from his second major knee surgery, right?
It's over.
It was incredible that he was even able to come back and be on the field. He didn't seem to quite be what he was in the past, which is understandable because he's coming back from his second major knee injury, right? And kind of to J-Dub's point, the Browns line, they actually have had a really good line off and on the last few years, but they've had a lot of injuries. I don't remember a game the last 3 years where both starting tackles were in the lineup at the same time, right? So it's a constant revolving door, and you can't have that. And so I think, I do think that that's to blame for a lot of the quarterback's problems. But I also think that this year there was just a mismatch when, they brought in the Bills offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, and there seemed to be him and Kevin Stefanski were not on the same page. But the big thing was Stefanski was going to give up the play calling to Dorsey, right? It didn't go well. And so I think the plan is they've already fired Dorsey for Stefanski to bring somebody else in, but to him to kind of regain the reins and call the plays. Because the second half of the year, the Browns were really impressive last year with Joe Flacco as their quarterback. And they were designing plays where guys were wide open, right? So we know Kevin Stefanski can coach. We really do. And so I think the Browns have had some bad luck on the line. And then obviously the history of quarterbacks, to say it's been a disaster is an understatement. But I like them solidifying the offensive line and then going with a veteran quarterback and then building both lines, via the draft, this upcoming draft.
I like it.
Good stuff.
That's good stuff. So I'm gonna take a stab at the Raiders, y'all, just because it's funny. So let's start off, y'all. Breaking news, man. Antonio Pierce is no longer a Raider. I know, but
I thought he did a phenomenal job there.
I did too, man.
I'm sorry, Eric. You go back. I'm sorry, but I hated seeing that when they actually let him go like 3 hours ago. I was like, that's the wrong thing to do. But you go ahead.
So I mean, that I had this all planned out, and that just really just took me backwards. Now, on all other things you need to do, you got to go find a coach. And and there are some coaches that got the coaching carousel out there, and there's one big name that I really, really like, and that's Brian Flores. But I don't want them to do that. They need to, if Brian Flores can get the same deal, at least half the deal that Gruden got, don't give him a 10-year deal like you did Gruden, who squandered. At least give him a 5-year deal and say, hey, we're going to give you 5 years to turn it. I guarantee you, Brian Flores can turn the Raiders around. And the quarterback situation is simple. Yeah, they the 6th seed. They don't get a chance to get the pick of the top quarterback, but just like the Patriots, you still got all those guys. You still got Curtis Rourke. You still got all those other guys we named that's going to be in the 2nd round. They're looking at getting a kid. I forget his name, but it's a team that I don't like. I didn't want him to go get him, but it's another team they're looking for. But I think if these other players are there, I think they have a good chance of getting them. But I mean, look, Brock Bowers, my God. The kid is oh my goodness, that rookie. We don't have maybe 5 or 6 tight ends that we can really say that are just bomb.com. And he's the
next dude.
He is the next dude.
He's the next guy.
He's gonna be taking over for Kelsey after a while. The dude is a beast, man. I love what they got going over there, and that's the reason why I want Antonio Pierce State, because you finally got somebody good out of the draft, and now we're talking about player development, man. You got a ready-made kid, and then you're looking at all the, like you said, those singers that are coming out. They're grown men. You got to deal with a sophomore or a junior coming out of college. All these guys that are going to come in 2nd round are all singers, and you love that. A kid that's mature, a kid that's been in maybe 1 or 2 organizations are coming into the big dog. So the Raiders, man, you guys are in a good position to get it done. Just don't mess it up. Owners, don't mess it up. You already messed it up firing Pierce. I get all of that, but, man, don't mess it up.
I think Antonio Pierce did a phenomenal job there. I think he took a pile of garbage and made some cupcakes out of it. Right. I'm just saying. It was a losing situation anyway, and he found a way to win a handful of games and be competitive and a few more. I think of all the firings, and we know it happens every year, and I hate it, but that's the worst one.
He said the Raiders just need to coach more, lose the same.
I didn't get it. I didn't get that firing.
I don't either.
Because it's, but it is what it is. So.
It is what it is. Every year we go through this.
So just for you people out there who may be football gurus, listen, these are emotional picks. Every team can beef up their line. Every team can beef up with offense, defense, right tackle, left tackle, guard. So we're not going to get into all that. I mean, if there is a true need, yeah. But just to let it be known, yes, every team can protect the quarterback. Every team can use some safeties or whatever secondaries. This is just, because you get these guys, and then what? It's still 2 or 3 years out before you can really use them. So at the end of the day, so we're not going there. Who want to take the next stab at it? J-Dub is on you. Who you got?
Well, I'm going to take another one that I don't think can make the playoffs. So I agree with Coach. Arizona's on the cusp. The next one that it hurts me to my soul, man, I don't even know what the Saints need. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what the Saints need. I am a Derek Carr fan. I'm an Alvin Kamara fan. I think their defense is dope with Mario Davis and Cameron Jordan and Shepard. I don't know what's wrong down there. I guess Derek isn't the guy that I want him to be. I'm not sitting here calling him a Hall of Famer or nothing, but
that's my guy
I guess
too.
they need to find. I think if you got the Saints and the Browns side by side, and the Saints can get that veteran instead of the Browns, I think he can do more with the Saints than he can with the Browns. I mean, the Saints are a ready-made team for a playoff run. I'm not saying for a Super Bowl run, but, I mean, they got players at every position. Jawan Johnson's a great tight end. They could use another wide receiver, Scanlon.
Hey, so let me ask you this question. So, MVS, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, you got Cedric Wilson, Kevin Austin. They're not great.
Yeah.
They're not great.
But they're not bad though either.
Okay, fair enough.
No. And I guess that's true for all NFL wide receivers. So I'm not trying to make that statement, but they're solid. They're good. They catch you. They don't have many hits off the hands. They run their routes. So I truly don't know what's wrong with that team. So I don't know what they need to go get. I mean, so that's who I want to be better. So I guess what I'm saying is, as much as I love the man, we need a new quarterback in New Orleans.
And Corey's saying go get Aaron Glenn as their coach.
We need a new coach too.
He's a big name. He's a big name.
Yeah,
hey, Chris,
he's in that carousel.
Chris, let me give you a little background, okay? J-Dub is a big, long time Saints guy, because one of his all-time favorite players, Drew Brees, was with the Saints for a long time. So J-Dub's been following the Saints for a minute. So that's why.
I mean, even their backup running back is good. Kendre Miller is legit. He could start for 5 or 6 teams, but so I don't know. And they started the season out high. Y'all didn't let me praise them because of who they beat early, and so
J-Dub,
I guess
J-Dub, he remembers that. He remembers that. EC.
Hey, Lou said get rid of Darren Carr.
I guess I just want a veteran again. Like the Browns, I want a Sam Darnold. Who is this next season Sam Darnold?
So Derek Carr is not it. You said Derek Carr is not it.
I guess, even though I want him to be it, he ain't it, and he ain't proven to be it. So
you see what Lou just said? Lou just said that they got to get rid of Carr because the team's lost respect for him.
So yeah.
And Carr's not vocal enough. I get it. As a person, as a human being, Derek Carr and a couple other guys are great people, and we like the people, but man, they can't get it done on the field. Dak, I love Dak Prescott. I'm a huge Dak Prescott fan. As a person, Dak Prescott did not deserve the contract he got, and I don't even know if he deserves the starting position that he has. I'm gonna let y'all go with that one.
Ooh, wait. He said, Corey Patterson said, guys heard what Michael Thomas said, Carr throwing those hospital balls. Wow.
Yeah, getting his players hurt. But again, I want to root for him, so I overlooked those hospital balls. Right?
But Michael Thomas, you don't deserve to say nothing. You sit where you are because you have not been available. So you don't say
he's been hurt all year too.
Yeah. All right, it's on you, Mike. Chris, who you got on the team that you think, or what team you want to evaluate that can do better?
Oh, wow.
I can give you one.
Besides the Browns, I've already done the Browns. So I'll do Cincinnati, who just missed the playoffs narrowly. We talked about.
Let's go.
Oh, boo. That's an easy one.
Yeah, he's AFC North. Let him have his.
I'm going to start out by giving a praise to them, though. Is there a more underrated defensive player or even player in the league than Hendrickson for the Bengals?
Oh no,
leading the lead in sacks, and nobody knows about it. Nobody knows. I barely know who he is, and there he is, just dominate. He saved the game against Pittsburgh the other night, and it was all for naught.
And it hurts because he can't do it by himself. That's what's so hurt. He need help.
He almost did do it by himself. That was
true. That.
Yeah. So I would say the Bengals are an interesting team. So I think T. Higgins, it's possible that he might be leaving. You've heard Joe Burrow kind of step in and try to almost speak to the organization that he would like T. Higgins to stay. The problem is the salary cap, and they already have Jamar Chase. Yep. And so they already have a lot of other high paid players on that side of the ball. So I think the Bengals, once again, we're going to go back to the offensive line, need to shore up their offensive line. Joe Burrow gets hit hard every game. If you watch the Bengals, you're wondering if he's going to make it till the end. Yep. And so I think I'd like to see the Bengals kind of shore up their offensive line and then obviously get better on the defensive side of the ball, with the exception of defensive end, get better in their secondary. And I think that they can take that next step. The other thing is they lost 3 really close games at the beginning of the year, right? And it's a fine line in this league in the NFL between winning and losing. So they easily could have 3 more wins. And so they're not very far off. They just need to make a few adjustments, and I think they'll get back in there.
They are a playoff team. I don't think the Bengals are a playoff team.
Came up with a face mask full of turf.
I know.
And they won that game, and he's still on his back all the time. And he was on his face. That's crazy. I hate to see him go through that.
He's a tough Ohio-born kid, though, from Athens, Ohio. Man. He keeps getting up.
Yeah, I'm afraid of the Bengals for next year because you're talking about
him.
They finally figured it out. at the end of the season, but they coming back next year with a vengeance. And you talking about the offense is already set. They already got the pieces to beef up the defense. You only need 1 or 2 pieces to beef up that defense, y'all. They coming back with a vengeance. In the NFL 2025, 26, 2026 season, be aware, be on notice, because these Bengals, those cats are coming.
No, 1,000%. So, I mean, you talked about their record, Chris, and about how it could have had 3 or 4 more wins. I mean, that reminds me of the Kansas City Chiefs, who are sitting here 15-2. They could have easily been 10-7, easily.
Easily.
So, and we don't want to get into
Absolutely.
that right now, but
All right, Coach, who you got? Who your team? Your
man.
next team?
Mine's going to be easy. Mine's going to be kind of an obvious pick of who is garbage, and I don't know what the solution is for him. And that's these boys over here in Arlington with the stars on their helmet. I don't know. I don't even know how to approach it. The first person that needs to be fired is the general manager. Okay, that's the first person that needs to be fired.
He ain't, because Jerry Jones bought an occupation. I don't know what that is.
Ain't nobody can afford to fire him. Nobody can afford to fire him.
Yeah, he's like a freaking senator, Democrat senator in Congress. He has a job for life, man. We can't get rid of him. So, but I don't know. I mean, Cowboys are, and J-Dub and I talked about this. We don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start with that team. It's not coaching. Dak is good enough for them to be quote unquote competitive. But I don't even know what to say to that. So, Eric, throw me a life raft here, Eric.
I mean, first of all, let's be honest. If Dak stayed healthy, the Cowboys would have found the mojo and they would have made the playoffs. I think the Cowboys would have made the playoff if they would have Dak. I think they would have. I just think they would have. I think that's
homer. You argue with each other.
Eric.
Huh? Now that's emotional. That has no football science entangled with it, but that's emotional. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? And, if he would have stayed healthy and they didn't make the playoff, obviously this would be a different conversation. But no, I don't, this one, I have my homework, and I'm going to tell you what I got on my paper for the Cowboys. And it simply says, I got nothing. Jerry Jones bought an occupation. That's what I got on my paper right here, because I have no idea.
Money to do it.
You can't get better. Because in any organization, your owners own the team, right? But you look at your GMs, you look at your coaching staff to make the team better, and then you go out and get the players. Where Jerry Jones, as an owner, has done a great job getting players. But the way he managed the players, the way he wants to control every aspect of the organization from a GM perspective, that's what's hurting the team. And since that's not going to get better, the Cowboys not going to get better. Will he get some people that's going to get in and buy some jerseys? Oh, yeah. He's going to find players to get in that people want to see. He's going to always be on prime time. But at the end of the day, this team is not going to – they're going to be a mediocre team for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Wait. I got one thing.
Go ahead.
Early in the season, week 3 or 4, against a horrible New York Giants team with all players healthy, the Dallas Cowboys could not score a touchdown when they needed one. Mm-hmm. So I love Dak Prescott as a person. I already said it. I'm going to say it again. He is a phenomenal human being, but you have to be able to beat bad teams if you're going to call yourself a good team. I'm not talking about middle of the pack teams fighting it out for a playoff position. I'm talking about a team that was getting the first pick as of 2 weeks ago. They have lost all year long, and when they beat the Cowboys, they got a little breath of life in them. So it's more than just the GM. It's more than just Jerry being an old, arrogant ass. It's more than that.
Well, Corey, to talk about some of the hurt players, Zach Martin was a key loss for them in their offense.
Yeah, that was huge.
That was huge. Because that's Zach. He's the one. That's Dak bodyguard. He go everywhere he goes. Yeah. So you can't lose your bodyguard and expect to do anything. And I know that's one piece of the puzzle, but it does work. He said yeah, maybe we switch practice this many years. God, dog, he's reached the ceiling. God, dog.
And I hear you. I wanted
Man,
the
listen.
ceiling to be the heavens, but it wasn't.
As long as Russell Wilson starting quarterback, God dog and Dak gonna be a starting quarterback.
Dak is better than Russell. I'll give you that much. Dak is better than Russell.
I'm not agreeing with that. So
I take Dak over Russell in a draft.
So I'm gonna go ahead and take 2. So the 49ers don't need to do anything but get healthy.
No,
They don't need to do anything.
Right.
The Dolphins, I'm conflicted with the Dolphins. I'm disappointed in Tyreek Hill. Number one, Tyreek Hill, you was tripping. You're being selfish. Now, do I like the coach? Do I like the coach? I'm emotional tied because I didn't like the way they did Brian Flores, but I do like the coach. But I think he needs to be a little bit tougher. And I saw a little bit like because he came out there on one field ready to jump on the refs. But you need to jump on your team, coach.
Who is that? Mike
McDaniels, Coach Mike McDaniels. So, like I say, he just need to get a little tougher. Brilliant. He is a brilliant football mind. I mean, this dude is sharp. He can put it together. But Tua they need to go. I mean, I don't know. The dude need to retire. He can't stay healthy. He was bad in Alabama as far as his health is concerned. You bring it over to the NFL. Find you a quarterback, but you got some players. That team is great, but McDaniels just need to toughen up a little bit, go off in that locker room, slap some helmets around or whatever. But whatever, anybody got anything for the Dolphins? And then we can move on. J-Dub, who's your next pick?
Ooh, I ain't even been looking. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sorry, and I can give you one. No, wait, and I got to eat some crow. They did beat New York early in the season, and I'm going to give the Cowboys a little bit of credit, which nobody ever hears me do this. All their losses were against good teams, except for Atlanta. Okay, so they lost against Washington, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Houston, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Detroit, Baltimore, and New Orleans early in the season. So, I mean, I guess I'm hating too much. I guess I'm being too much of a hater. They had a better season than their record indicates. All their losses were to good teams. Most of their losses were to good teams. So you give me the team. I'm gonna go on. I'm sorry. I got to get back refocused.
So Jason, I'm gonna give you the Jets.
Oh my God. No, I don't want the Jets. We're gonna give it to Coach. give it to Coach.
Yeah, okay,
we're gonna let him talk about his boy A-Rod. No.
Let's give you the Giants. Let's give you the Giants then.
Oh, that's one of them teams that ain't gonna make the playoffs next year. But they had some good things. They need a quarterback, they need a running back. Their line played good with bad teams. The Giants are 2-3 years away from being a playoff team. They're at least 2-3 years away from playoff team. I don't care who the coach is. Y'all go right now. Tell me the best player on the Giants. Anybody? Is it Malik Neighbors? Is it Darius Slayton?
Neighbors. Yeah, Malik Neighbors is hands down the best. The best.
So they got a good wide receiver core. I give them that. They don't have a defense star to talk about, but they're 2 or 3 years away, in my uneducated opinion.
Yes, it is, Corey. The future is bright for the Giants. I do agree with that.
But the question is, how far is the future? How far is the future, Corey?
Well, here's my question, Corey. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do for a quarterback?
Yeah. The paid old boy. And then you got the Italian in there, DeVito.
Shador. They're looking to get Shador.
Man, and now you're asking a lot. I love Shador Sanders, but you're asking a lot from a rookie quarterback to revitalize the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring in like a Cousins could come in a little bit.
I don't think a veteran is going to help them, though. I think they need too many pieces.
I'm talking about just buy them a year. But, yeah, I mean, Giants are and they retained their coach, who I thought I love that guy, Brian.
I'm a huge Table fan. I think he's done a great job up there. But, man, they have so many holes.
Dayball?
Yeah.
You think he's done a good job? Good job?
I think he's done a good job of what he's been given.
Yeah, I mean, the helping hand he's been dealt.
Okay.
Daniel Jones was garbage.
Well, I think he's done a completely horrible job. Team over there. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I'm not even going to disagree with you. But why has he done a horrible job? What makes you say that?
I just don't think his first of all his the way he called the game a lot of times has been questionable. The plays, the big plays, I mean those plays he need in big moments has been questionable.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? The plays he called on 3rd and 4th down when you just inches away are questionable. Player management is questionable. Now he gets a scapegoat when you come down to the whole Saquon versus Daniel Jones. But I think he should have had a bigger voice in this situation. You cannot sit back. You cannot.
That's where he messed up.
Yeah, you got. I mean, when your GM come out and publicly make that statement, saying that you're not going to run the ball because you're trusting Daniel Jones, and you know you as a coach what Saquon can do, you got to come out and say something. You don't sit back and put your hands under your seat. No, come out and say something. You know, and that's what kind of got me with that. But then again, he may be handcuffed. I don't know. You know, but like I say, they're going to go with him another year. They're going to go with the GM and the owner, and the coach for another year. So we'll see what happens in the draft. But right now, I think Shador has been going over there. They've been talking about Shador, so that may be where he land. I don't know. Mike, it's on you. You got another team for it? I can give you.
No, I want Coach to go with the Jets. Go, Coach.
Yeah, the Jets are interesting because I was the one that said at the very get-go of the season that they'd make the playoffs this year. And then I had to eat crow and say I was totally missed that, and I did, and I do. But they're an interesting bunch because they play good defense. And
I went out for a second. Who you talking about? You talking about the Jets?
Yeah, Jets. Yeah.
Okay.
They're a really interesting team. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, Aaron can't. He just can't get it done, and he's too old. He's too old. I mean, it's call a spade a spade. Aaron Rodgers needs to retire. Okay, but that leaves them with a major quarterback void. So I don't know, Chris. Who do you think could what do you think about that situation?
Going to be the next coach? Is Rex Ryan going to be the next coach?
Well, who knows?
No, we don't. Rex, come on, you being funny.
The media,
I'm just saying that's what they talking about.
The media's blowing all that.
You know, Rex Ryan was not a fan at all of Coach Robert Saleh, and he is, and so because he's been there, he got mad a couple of years ago saying that when people started comparing Robert Saleh to him, he got really, really pissed off and got on Get Up and just went completely berserk, telling people do not ever compare him to Robert Saleh. And so for him to come in and take over Robert Saleh, that may be too big of a seat for him to put in because he's going to have to come in and eat those words because he's not.
And it wasn't like Rex was that good when he was the head coach of the Jets. I mean, I don't know.
Sexy Rexy.
But I do like the Jets defense and what they're doing there. But Chris, what do you know about that?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to – I agree with everything you said about the Jets, the quarterback situation and coach. Who knows how they're going to address it. They both need addressed. Aaron Rodgers is too old, I agree. But I'm going to switch, sticking with the Northeast. I'm going to throw out one more team, and that's the Patriots because I think they're going to have an interesting offseason. I think Drake May showed some potential, it seems like. And
yes, he
did.
I think
people are very excited about what he can possibly do in the NFL. It looks like he has a bright future, and then it's going to be interesting to see how they fill their coaching vacancy, obviously, too. So there's a lot of noise around Mike Vrabel going to New England, and Vrabel had a lot of success with the Titans, and it seems like his fallout at the end had more to do maybe with a lack of support of ownership, but we'll see. So there's a lot of noise. I would potentially look for Vrabel to land in New England is kind of what I'm hearing, but we'll see.
Is it fair? Wow. But is it fair to let go Gerard Mayer after 1 year?
No.
Is it fair to let go? No. I think
no.
I think anytime you give a coach 1 year especially with a rookie quarterback, even though he did play well in just a team that wasn't that talented, quite frankly, it would seem that it wasn't. I would agree.
And the rumors around, we can't confirm, but we can't deny it. The rumors around is saying that they hired Gerard Mayo, but they always wanted Mike Vrabel. That's what they really, really wanted. And now that he's available, that's the reason why they jumped up and fired him. And then of course, they're playing the sound bites of Robert Kraft talking about he eating his words, saying how when he went out and said that this is a guy he feels is going to be the next Belichick or a good predecessor to the next Belichick. Now he's saying it really hurts him to have to make this decision. Robert Kraft, you're wrong. At the end of the day, you're wrong. I get it. You want your guy over there. There has been some rumblings in New England that there had been some questionable calls by Gerard Mayo. But at the end of the day, he's a brand new coach. He's never coached at this level before.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, you got to rock with him. Give him a chance to grow. Same like Miami. Brian Flores was a coach from New England who was coming from a Belichick era, just like Gerard Mayo played for Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So they coach him with a different level of energy based on the organization they grew up in. And so if their ways are outdated, I get it. But this is where the GM and them got to come in and say, hey, let's give you a chance to mature and grow. You know, you can't just 86 a guy after 1 year, but it's been done before. He wasn't the first, and he ain't gonna be the last. But it is what it is.
Facts.
All right, so you got Patriots. Let me take a stab at the Bears. Obviously, listen, they need to find a coach, obviously, but they need a coach that's going to get involved intimately, personally, with Caleb Williams. Not your quarterback coach and not your offensive coordinator. They need a coach that's going to go and have slumber parties and birthday parties and backyard barbecues with Caleb Williams because they need to be wrapped up, tied up, tangled up because they got some weapons. Don't necessarily like the whole Keenan Allen situation. Didn't work out for me. But, man, Roma Duze is great. You got a decent running back with who's that? Can't think of his dude's name. Yeah, with DeAndre Swift. But like I say, they got some chances in the draft. They got transfer free agency. GMs do your job. Caleb Williams didn't have a great season, but he didn't look overly bad. You know what I'm saying? I think
either.
Huh?
He didn't have a bad season either.
He didn't have a bad season. Yeah.
So I was gonna take the Bears before you said it, and I agree with Jonathan 1,000%. They played 6 games against defensive monster teams, right? So just between Minnesota and Detroit, he's running for his life on every play. So the Bears, I like the Bears team. I think they put it together well, but man, they are in a division that is ruthless right now.
It is.
The NFC North is crazy, and I know, it changes every year. This division's better. The NFC East is better. The AFC West is better, but I don't see the NFC North going anywhere for at least 2 or 3 seasons. And the Chicago Bears are going to have to find a way to fight through, like we said in another sport, the gauntlet of their own division before we can even start talking about them against other people.
Yeah. I'm going to hop in here. So if you don't mind. So with the Bears, right, I don't believe, like you said, the organization supports their quarterbacks very well at all. So being a Justin Fields fan, I didn't think they did him right. Kind of the way he left, and you saw the same thing happen with Caleb Williams this year, right? I mean, he was running for his life too. Now, I'm also going to be honest. I'm a body language guy. I don't like the way Caleb Williams comes across compared to Justin Fields. Okay. Justin Fields is a tough guy. There's something about Caleb Williams, and I thought this in college. Extremely talented guy. I don't like his body language. I don't like it in the huddle. I don't like it in the silence, and maybe that's unfair. But if you give me Justin Fields or Caleb Williams in a street fight, I'm picking Justin Fields 100 times out of 100.
That's good. That's good.
Hey, Chris.
Caleb is looking for somebody to help him.
Yeah.
Chris, I have to eat my words. We did this a couple of Mondays Tuesdays ago. I just knew that we were going to get Caleb Williams a cry in an NFL game. And we did. But instead, we got the Houston kid crying in the game. So I'm like,
my boy CJ.
CJ crying. I'm like, dog it. But I just knew he was going to cry. But body language, you said it just right. What do you say?
Yeah.
He talking about
Caleb Williams. He pouted. He went to his room and slammed the door. He's a door slammer.
He's a door slammer.
But body language means a lot. And you got it in body language, especially when you got to be a leader of men. And he's such a young man, so he's gonna have to figure this out. But that is the reason why I said he need a coach that's gonna be an adult to him, that's gonna just slumber parties, whatever you got to do to get him back on straight street.
I like for everything you just said, EC. I was on one name that I like to do what you just said, and that's Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Not only Cliff had great success as a quarterback coach and an offensive coordinator, but he's the guy that could mature Caleb and get Caleb where he needs to be. You know,
and it makes sense because that's the reason why I wanted Caleb in Washington this year. I felt that Cliff Klingberg offense was an air raid situation for him that was better for him. But obviously, you know, Dan Campbell and the other guys, they went with our guy, you know, saying the rookie of the year. So I mean, I'm not mad at that. But yeah, that'd be a great as a K coach over in the Bears. Chris, Tennessee, what can they do?
Tennessee, wow.
I'm sorry.
Where do we start with Tennessee?
Nothing.
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I think J-Dub said it earlier. Some of these teams are just a piece or two away, and some are a lot of pieces away, right? And I think this would be an example where they're a lot of pieces away, but probably a couple years they're going to need to build through the draft and then get some key veteran pieces added to kind of get it back on track. And, you know, it seems like once again, since Vrabel left there, that, you know, the grass wasn't greener, it turns out, and they found out, right? And that's why when we were talking about Tomlin, you have these years where they have, and the Steelers had a winning record, right? But they didn't maybe meet the expectations, and fans want to quickly, you know, look at potentially replacing the coach, and the grass is not always greener. There's not always somebody out there better, and it is important to let some of these coaches develop and then learn from their mistakes, right? So kind of going back to college, you're seeing, and I don't want to switch it to college, but you're seeing Ohio State's coach, first-time head coach, learning from his mistakes, right? And the same can apply to the NFL coaches as well. And a guy like Mayo, a guy like Flores, who had a little bit of success, they need to be able to learn from their mistakes.
Yeah. Is Will Levis
and so at least
real quick, is Will Levis a true starting NFL quarterback?
No.
I don't think so, but maybe in a few years. But at least Vrabel had the Titans defense keeping them in games.
Facts.
Yeah. Well, now they don't have either side of the ball. So I mean, they got some skill positions, but Tennessee's out.
Oh man,
I got one for J-Dub, and J-Dub, I want you to take this one on. I want you to put all your energy into it. What can Atlanta do to get better?
They should have been starting Penix from the jump,
man,
to make the next season better. Did you really think Cousins was going to get you into the playoffs this year? Is that a thought that the GM had? I'm like, man, and I like Kirk Cousins. Again, as a person, I like Kirk Cousins. You should have been starting Penix from the beginning to let him get real season reps. I can't sit here and name off the top of my head something they need immediately. They need some stability. They need some cohesion, and I guess that's the coach's job or the GM's job. So, I mean, I like their squad. They were in most games this year. If y'all look at the score, but I mean, you know, I want the Dirty Bird to come back. You know what I'm saying? I want it. I want that bad. But they should have been starting Penix from the beginning. The whole preseason controversy with the quarterbacks, they drafted one, they traded for one, and they signed one. I'm like, who does that? That's a lot of money you just spend on one position if you're trying to make a playoff run.
J-Dub, do you agree with Corey?
Corey.
Yeah,
Corey.
Best agent in the world.
Corey.
God bless him. And I'm glad he got his money. I want all these players to get their money. I ain't hating on the players. But the GM should have known if we're going to draft this guy to be our guy, then we need to get him at least a half a season worth of reps in real-time football so he can be the guy next year. So they're one of the teams on the cusp. I think Atlanta and Chicago and all these teams, they're good teams in bad situations, right? So I think Atlanta can make a playoff run next year. If Penix is that guy, we don't know if he's that guy until we see him in a week 1 start. But yeah, man, I mean, they got a bunch of good players. No super duper stars, but no lackeys either. I mean, Drake London showed a lot of good promise this year. Can't remember the cat's name who ran the ball for him.
But John Robinson?
Yeah, Robinson.
He's a long one. He's a stud.
Their defense kept them in games a bunch of times. Even Sunday, their defense kept them in the NFC South hunt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think they're right on the cusp. Penix should have been playing more this year, and I think when they hand him the ball and tell him it's your team, we'll get to see what he can do.
That's a lot.
He froze.
Right. So I'm back. So we got 2 more teams left, and I'm gonna let Chris take a stab, and I'm gonna give you a pick. So who do you want? You want Seahawks or do you want?
You don't want Jacksonville. Take Seahawks.
Yes,
Take
Seahawks or Jacksonville. Yeah, which one you want?
I'll go with the Seahawks.
Okay.
I don't see the Seahawks as being a team that's that far off necessarily. I think obviously Geno Smith has been around for a long time. I do think that's something that'll need to be addressed as a quarterback position. It's interesting that he kind of resurrected his career like he did. I'm pulling for Geno Smith. He's actually the uncle of Jeremiah Smith, the receiver at Ohio State, who you're going to see tear up the Longhorns on Friday night. So I'm a Geno Smith fan, but the Seahawks are somebody I think they're just a few pieces away. They have some pretty good running backs. Kenneth Walker's really good at running back. They have some depth pieces there at that position, and defensively they're usually pretty strong as well. So
Charbonnet only ran for less than 600 yards. You got arguably the best two receiver duo with Lockett and Metcalf. Is it fair to say that their offensive coordinator need to find something better in their run game? He need to come with a better run game plan. Do you think so?
For sure. I see my boy Corey out there. He's the Michigan fan. That's why he mentioned both running backs because Charbonnet's from Michigan. I don't think he ever beat Ohio State. I think he was on the team before they started beating Ohio State. Just throw that out there. And he's the backup. So Kenneth Walker is the main show there, but he was hurt this year, and that allowed the Michigan guy to play a little bit more than he would have. So,
right.
You like that, Corey?
I want to see Metcalf in more plays. Man, I think DK Metcalf is one of my favorite players right now. He's in my top 3 favorite. I'm not calling him the best. There's a different conversation. I want to see them get him like some jet sweeps or some short sweep plays. I mean, they got to get him the ball more.
And that's what I was saying. Offensive coordinator need to find a new offensive coordinator, or I don't know if they can do put him in a room and scare him or something, talk to him, threaten him. I don't know, but he got to come up with some better play designs or call the plays better. I don't know, but and Geno Smith. Y'all listen, Geno Smith is not a game changer, but he's definitely a game manager, and that's all you need with him with the talent you got around him in Seattle.
Solid.
You don't need, but they have been really trying to get him to go off and win games on and put the team on his shoulders, and he's not that dude. Let him be the game manager. Don't go out there and try to make the game easier for the coordinator. Make the coordinator do his job. Yeah. You call the play, you execute the play. That is it. You ain't that. And if you want to go out there and try to tell the world that you're going to be the next Patrick Mahomes or CJ Stroud, you are not him. Know your role. And it's okay to be a manager. It is okay. You do not have to, it is not a negative thing.
Lots of bus drivers made lots of money and won lots of games doing their job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, you were talking about Atlanta backs. Okay, so
it's all good, Corey.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. I'm sorry, but by default, you get to talk about the Jaguars.
Yeah, I got nothing. They fired their coach, which you got to do that. They've been, and I really, really thought, wasn't it the first year or the second year that when they drafted the kid out of Clemson, the quarterback?
Second year.
That they had a good year.
They won a playoff game, I think, that year.
Yeah, and Jay, tell me if you remember this conversation. You and I thought after that season that Jacksonville might be the team to watch.
They were one of the up and comings. I mean, Jacksonville, Detroit, and Cincinnati were all up and coming at the same time.
And tell you something,
and two kept going, and one fell off the cliff.
Jacksonville has taken a freaking nosedive, and so I don't know what you do. Why am I drawing a blank? What's the kid's name at quarterbacks there, Chris, from Clemson?
Sunshine.
Trevor
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I really went from really not liking him at all at Clemson and not liking him in Jacksonville. Then the second year I started watching him, I was like, okay, he's a big kid with a big arm, and maybe he will be. But guys, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what had happened to Jacksonville and Doug Peterson. I don't know what happened to that deal. I don't get it.
So what was that 2 or 3 years ago when y'all talk about the game against the Chargers? Chargers had them dead to right. They had that game won, but somehow, some way, they let the Jaguars come back and win that game. And I was more disappointed in the Chargers versus I was the Jaguars, because I mean that was their game to win. I was rooting for them to maybe go and contend with Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, but they didn't. I said,
But
Corey.
but wait a minute. So, but I don't, and I'm not a Trevor Lawrence fan. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to talk bad about him or talk bad about his mama.
Corey tripping.
But the Chargers didn't give it to him. He went out and took it.
Yeah, he went out and took it. Yeah.
He took it. So I thought in my mind, just like the Browns last year, I thought, okay, they had a good run at the end of the season. This is some momentum to build on. I thought Jacksonville was going to build on that. And it has been straight downhill since that playoff victory.
And that's the reason why I think I've been saying this since the middle of the season, Doug Peterson, because he lost control of that team. Because you're talking about Travis Etienne didn't play well. Tank Bigsby didn't play well. You know, you look at, we talk about the Lad McCunkleys, we talk about the Marvin Harrison Jr. and the Malik Neighbors, but we forget to talk about Brian Thomas Jr. This kid can easily be a top 10 receiver.
Yeah.
And even with as bad as this team is, he has been out there doing just as well as all the rest of the receiving. Even throw Brock Bowers out there, even though he's a tight end, but he's the guy who's catching the ball. I mean, he's him. And so they
another Southern Louisiana wide receiver. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Bryce Thomas Jr. There's another one. 4 of the top 5 receivers are from 100-mile circle. All right?
Crazy. No, EC, the team I thought you were going to throw at me, and I was Carolina.
So, let's go ahead and talk about those Panthers. That'll be the last one, I think. Yeah, because I thought So Carolina, I was waiting for them to last. Yeah. I was waiting for the Cowboys to go last, but you kind of stole my thunder. You wouldn't get the Cowboys out the way. But go ahead and talk about the Panthers.
You talk about it. I don't got nothing to say. I mean, Bryce Young needs a bunch of help. I think Bryce showed a lot of promise this year.
You know what?
I think he did
a lot
too.
of maturity, and I was real proud of him. And I think he's going to be. I think he's going to continue to get better if they can get some pieces around him. Go ahead, EC.
I mean, kids out there, when you find yourself in a situation to where you get benched, and I'm talking about you young kids out there that's playing in Pop Warner and maybe in junior high school or playing in college, you guys get in your feelings.
He froze on us, guys.
And no, I know where he's going, right? Bryce did the right thing. He went on the bench and he started studying film, and he came back better than he was when they pulled him.
You there?
Maybe that's what he needed.
I'm back. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was doing my best stuff right there, but let me just go ahead and cut it short just in case I go off again. Spectrum, But no, the kid handled controversy. He got benched. He sat on the sideline. He saw what needs to be done, and once he got it back in the game, the season took off. A little bit too late. That's all it was, just a little bit too late. Yeah. So they got the pieces, man. They just need to, whatever they figured out midseason, just improve on it. So, I mean, and I love to see that for an organization to figure it out and whatever. So just build on it. You got offseason, you got free agency, you got draft. Build on it. Y'all gonna be all right. And
even the games he lost, even the games he lost when he came back, he was still in the game. The Tampa Bay game, and then I believe he went to Philadelphia and barely lost the game. So I'm just adding on to what you said. He came back and he was a different player than he was in week 1 for sure.
I agree.
And I love what Corey said, the way they were trying to bury him. See, this is my problem sometimes with mainstream media, and I know the mainstream media has to sell. They got to give viewers watches, and we have a negative world out there that will love to tune in to hear controversy. But we're talking about human beings. These young men has emotions, and you guys sometimes when you get so overcritical of these players, that do mess with their psyche sometimes, even though they're supposed to be adults, but these are still young men, barely 25, 26, 7 years old. And even me at 47 years old, when my boss come and tell me I need to do a better job, I may sit in the closet for a little while, like, God out. Man, I thought I was doing great. So we all have those moments, right? And that's the reason, I mean, I'm not saying you can't give your opinion, but y'all opinion in the mainstream media be too harsh. Because way y'all threw this kid, a second-year player, in the trash, that's completely unfair.
But I have found most of the mainstream media never played sports in their life growing up, so I'll leave that alone for now, though. So,
yeah, but they claim they know it. Hey, man, any final words, man? We got 4 minutes left on the show. I took it to 7:30 because we had a lot to cover, man. But first of all, man, thank you, my brother Chris, for coming on and joining us, man. It's been great, man.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. This has been a blast.
All right, any final words from you, Chris, before we log off?
No, I think we're all in for a treat. There's a lot of great football to watch, both college and NFL coming up. I mean, get the snacks ready, get your favorite beverage, and we have a lot of fun coming our way watching football. So,
all right then, Jada, what you got?
Well, I think he just said it so perfect. I'm just gonna backdoor him. There's a lot of good football over the next couple of days. I got to give a little bit of shout out to Montana State. I got a bunch of people up here who were rooting for the game, and I was like, it's in Frisco. Coach D-Way may be there. They were down big, and they ended up coming back and making a game of it. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but North Dakota State has won like 10 championships in the last 15 years. Oh, yeah. So, bro, they all the people up here were supporting them, and everybody was wearing their Cougars vests.
That's
so
awesome. Yeah,
I'm gonna give a shout out to them, and let's get ready for the real football season to start.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
D-Way, what you got, Coach?
You know, we couldn't ask for two better matchups in the college football world. I mean, if you really think about it, Texas, Ohio State, two monster schools, and then Notre Dame and Penn State, two schools with a ton of tradition. Guys, we couldn't ask for two better games.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm thankful for that. And then, like J-Dub said, the real season now begins for the NFL. So,
the second season.
Yeah. So it's going to separate the men from the boys, and that's going to be fun. So great job. Another great show, EC. I appreciate it, man.
All right. So my final words is this, y'all. Listen, we're coming to the end of the NFL football season, and yes, we're still stuck on football, but I have officially been watching basketball, college as well as NFL. Yeah. And listen, I was absurd. Who's that kid out of Duke that made me mad?
Cooper Flag.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either.
He played SMU and he just destroyed our SMU. But no, I've been watching that kid and he looked like he's ready to start on the NBA team right now. That kid.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't. The NBA haven't had a guy to come out and be able to start right away. I mean, the little kid from the Lakers got, you know what I'm saying, is doing okay, but I mean, this kid is ready to start, and he's ready to come play. So there's a lot going on with the women's college basketball, man. I can't wait for we get on that train, man. Women's, men basketball. We're coming to that season. Obviously, we're just a month away from the All-Star game. So, yeah, once we get January over with, we're going to go dive deep into college basketball and NBA basketball, y'all. Sweet. But it's your boy EC22 of the Fairweather Fan Channel, man. Y'all, it's been great. It's been fun. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. And y'all, man, once again, like, subscribe, share, join the conversation, leave comments, man, and we are